Let me show you the current state of the real economy. On Channing Road, near the inner ring of Shanghai, this area used to be bustling when I was a kid. Now, many shops have closed down, including big names like Lianhua Supermarket. Stores that were once brightly lit are now completely dark. Even Li Ka-shing, Hong Kong's richest man, hasn't escaped this downturn. A large mall he opened in Shanghai earlier this year is struggling. Only the street-facing shops remain open, while the rest of the mall is empty. Shanghai has long been seen as a window into China's economy, but as the economy shrinks and consumers cut back on spending, even Shanghai hasn't been spared. Many businesses have had to close due to financial struggles. Others are barely holding on, hoping for an economic recovery. However, based on the latest data from the Chinese government, businesses that are still hanging on may be disappointed. Official figures released on September 14th show that China's retail sales growth slowed by 0.6% in August compared to July, reaching the second lowest point since 2024. Month-on-month retail sales fell by 0.1%, reversing the previous upward trend. This growth was below market expectations. According to a recent survey by Caixin Media, economists predicted retail sales growth would average 2.7% in August, with estimates ranging from 1% to 4%. The slowdown in consumption is even more pronounced in China's major cities, with Shanghai faring the worst. In August, retail sales in Shanghai dropped by 6.8% year over year, and for the period from January to August, the decline was 3.3%. Economists attribute Shanghai's poor performance to the city's 3-month lockdown in 2022, which led to a mass exit of foreign financial firms and triggering a chain reaction of business closures in various sectors. This eventually impacted consumer spending. To boost the service sector, the Shanghai government announced a 5 billion yuan city fund starting on September 28th. The money will go towards consumer vouchers in 4 sectors: 3.6 billion yuan for dining, 900 million yuan for lodging, 300 million yuan for the film industry, and 200 million yuan for sports events. The use of these consumer vouchers comes with certain spending thresholds, similar to department store anniversary promotions. For example, you get a 50 yuan discount if you spend 300 yuan at a restaurant, or a 300 yuan discount if you spend 1,200 yuan on lodging. Despite these incentives, many Shanghai residents are not optimistic. In an interview with Voice of America, a Shanghai resident, Ms. Yang, criticized the government's approach, saying that it feels like the government is treating the real world like online shopping. She says it's ridiculous and shows no sincerity, as this won't boost consumption. She also expressed concerns that the government might be using taxpayers' money to indirectly subsidize businesses. Criticism has also surfaced on Chinese social media platforms like Weibo. One Shanghai resident wrote, "If you're not willing to offer real help, then don't bother. The government wants to boost consumption without making any real effort." Another person commented that cash would be more effective than vouchers, saying, "Just give us the money. The government always tries to spend the least and get the most in return. Do they think we're fools?" According to Voice of America, Lai Rongwei, an assistant professor at Longhua University of Science and Technology in Taiwan, believes that vouchers may only encourage short-term spending and won't solve the long-term structural decline of China's economy. He compared the vouchers to department store promotions, saying they have limited appeal, especially as many Chinese consumers are now saving more and spending less. In the current trend of downward consumption, discretionary spending is the first to be cut, so the number of people who will spend 250 yuan just to save 50 yuan is likely very small. It seems that Shanghai's voucher program is an attempt to show the world that China's economy isn't as bad as it seems. However, Lai believes this move actually reveals the severity of the situation, as local governments like the one in Shanghai are no longer hiding their efforts to revive the economy. Wu Seze, director of the Taiwan think tank's China Research Center, said the discount-style vouchers are targeted at boosting specific sectors, but their impact will likely be limited. The vouchers are given on a first-come, first-served basis and are not widely distributed, meaning they are aimed at consumers with spending power to quickly improve economic figures. This short-term approach aligns with the Chinese Communist Party's typical operating style, but since the vouchers come with spending requirements, they may not be well received by the public. Wu also pointed out potential issues with the program. Consumers need to spend first to get the discount, and then businesses will redeem the vouchers with the government for reimbursement. However, dishonest businesses might raise prices before applying discounts, maintaining high profits. If this happens, consumers won't see any real benefits. It also remains uncertain whether businesses will actually be reimbursed by the government for the discounts. Wu emphasized that if Shanghai, a major global city and leader in several key industries, has to rely on consumer vouchers to boost its economy, this suggests that Shanghai's leading role in China's economy is being challenged. This could also imply the economic situation in other Chinese cities is even worse. Videos circulating on Chinese social media confirm this fact. What happened to Beijing's Shimao Sky Street? After dinner, it's not even 7 p.m., and there isn't a single person in this massive mall. Is this a once and bustling and crowded street? I don't remember it being this empty, even during the pandemic. Beijing, as the capital of China, ranks second to last in retail sales growth across the country. In August, Beijing's retail sales fell by 2% year over year, and from January to August, the decline was 0.9%.
Is the economy in Guangzhou's malls really this bad now? Today, the entire mall is empty.
I'm currently at Wanda Plaza in Guangzhou. This mall is enormous, with a large and well-equipped children's playground, but there's no one here. Most of the restaurants on the fourth floor have closed, leaving only a few still open, but even they have very few customers. Even the Wanda Cinema has shut down. How did this once bustling mall become so deserted? Guangzhou ranks third from the bottom in retail sales growth. Although the city has only released data for July, we can already see some trends. In July, the retail sales of consumer goods in Guangzhou declined by 2.2% year over year, and for the period from January to July, it dropped by 0.3%. First-tier cities, traditionally considered leaders in consumption, are now dragging down Chinese consumer spending. In terms of per capita disposable income, Beijing and Shanghai are currently showing the slowest growth in China. Government data shows that in the first half of this year, per capita disposable income in Beijing and Shanghai only grew by 4.2% and 4.4% year over year, ranking at the bottom in China. Nationally, the per capita disposable income of residents grew by 5.4%. According to a report by Shenwan Hongyuan Securities, the real estate sector plays a dominant role in residents' assets, and its price adjustments directly impact their balance sheets. Fluctuations in the real estate market also affect related industries and, in turn, the wages of people working in those sectors. The economic situation in second and third-tier cities is also not looking optimistic, as many businesses on social media complain about the lack of customers.
What happened to Shandong Road in Dalian? This is prime street real estate, yet it feels like half the shops have closed down, with many storefronts for sale. It used to be impossible to find a place here, and I heard many people made good money with subleasing. If you wanted to rent, you couldn't even find the original landlord. You would have to negotiate with a sublessor. Do you think physical businesses can still survive nowadays?
Look, it's all slow. It's not that we aren't working hard. It's that there's no one on the streets at all.
Look, the whole market has collapsed. You can't even see anyone.
With China's weak economy affecting domestic demand, many people have cut back on luxury purchases, and several international brands have seen their revenues in China decline in the first half of this year. London-listed advertising giant WPP reported that its sales in China plummeted nearly 25% in the second quarter of this year. French skincare and cosmetics group L'Oréal estimated that its sales in China dropped by 2% to 3% in the first half of this year compared to the same period last year. Germany luxury car brand Porsche reported a 33% drop in sales in China during the first half of the year. According to the Financial Times, L'Oréal CEO Nicolas Hieronimus stated that China is the only place in the world where consumer confidence remains low, compounded by an unhealthy job market. Many Chinese people have invested their savings in real estate, which has significantly devalued. In the first half of this year, Mercedes-Benz sales in China were down 9% year over year. CEO Ola Kalenius noted that China's luxury market is cooling down, partly due to its real estate crisis, and it is unclear when Chinese consumers will regain their confidence. The worsening economic environment in China has also taken a toll on the coffee industry. Starbucks, which counts China as its second largest market, reported that sales in China dropped by 14% in the latest quarter, continuing a trend of double-digit declines. Both the average price and transaction volume both fell by 7% year over year. According to Radio Free Asia, a Chinese student named Mr. Yi commented that in the past, He and his friends would occasionally splurge on drinks at Starbucks or milk tea shops. However, many of his friends who graduated this year are struggling to find jobs or internships and cannot foresee when they'll have a good income, so they've had to cut back on these small luxuries. Mr. Yi said that for many in mainland China, Starbucks is considered a luxury purchase, but young people still love drinking milk tea. If they have some spare money, they'll buy affordable milk tea from chains like Mi Shui, where a cup only costs 3 to 5 yuan. Many of his classmates don't earn much anymore, and it's hard to even find internship opportunities, as some now even require payment to participate. They have gone from occasionally having Starbucks to now even cutting back on milk tea. Analysts also note that with the worsening economic situation, the middle class is preoccupied with mortgages and the cost of raising children, leaving little disposable income for things like coffee. This suggests that consumer goods like coffee may face further market shrinkage in China. In mid-July, industry experts in China released a report titled 2024 First-Tier City Youth Consumption Trends. It found that young people in China's major cities are now moving away from brand-driven and luxury purchases towards seeking value for money and quality assurance. They are becoming more rational in their spending and are diversifying their consumption. Rather than chasing brand premiums, they now look for products and services that fulfill their personal emotional needs. According to Reuters, ANZ Bank senior China strategist Xing Zhaopeng said that the growth momentum is slowing down. Domestic demand remains a bottleneck. Based on the current data, China's GDP in the third quarter may be lower than in the second quarter. As China's economy continues to decline and geopolitical risks increase, recent years have seen a massive exit of foreign capital. Starting from August 19, the Shanghai and Shenzhen stock exchanges stopped disclosing real-time data on northbound capital flows via the Stock Connect programs. These capital flows represent foreign investment, so it naturally raises concerns in the market. The Laoman channel, which closely monitors China's economic data, posted on X that the scale of foreign capital leaving China is alarming. In July alone, the deficit between banks' foreign exchange settlements and sales reached $54.4 billion, setting a record for outflows since 2016. This difference represents the scale of foreign capital inflows and outflows. A positive value indicates net inflows, while a negative value shows net outflows. If this trend continues, the scale of capital outflow will soon surpass that seen during the 2015 stock market crash. At this rate, with China's current foreign exchange reserves, it won't last more than 6 months, leading to strict foreign exchange controls. To rescue the economy, on September 24th, the Chinese government announced its largest economic stimulus package in years, including a near-term reduction of the reserve requirement ratio by 0.5%, which will inject around 1 trillion yuan in long-term liquidity into financial markets. Additionally, the central bank lowered its policy rate from 1.7% to 1.5% and guided lending and deposit rates down to stabilize commercial banks' net interest margins. According to Bloomberg, the official press conference was hastily arranged 48 hours earlier, as anxiety had been mounting among top CCP leaders in recent weeks. Sources added that with this year's economic growth target becoming increasingly unachievable, top policymakers have held several unscheduled closed-door meetings to discuss the economic issues. One source noted that a key coastal province, which has contributed significantly to China's economic growth, is unlikely to meet its GDP target. The sudden shift in attitude among top CCP leaders has surprised many officials. These lower-level officials have been waiting for months without receiving any feedback on the policy recommendations they submitted to revive the economy. An anonymous regulatory official revealed that last week, they suddenly received requests for more information from higher-ups, forcing some officials to work overnight in preparation for the press conference. Reports suggest that for China's economy, which is teetering on the edge of a deflationary spiral, this series of easing measures is akin to injecting a large dose of adrenaline. However, these stimulus plans can only buy China a little more time. Duncan Wrigley, chief China economist at Pantheon Macroeconomics, said, he doesn't think this is enough to address the underlying issues driving China towards a deflationary spiral. Simply put, every sector of China's economy is in trouble. When the Chinese government lifted COVID-19 restrictions and reopened its borders at the end of 2022, there was optimism that the country would see a revenge shopping spree, along with increased dining out and travel, boosting consumption and the economy. However, against the backdrop of public concerns over economic growth, falling housing prices, unemployment, and declining incomes, this boost was short-lived. As of September, manufacturing has been contracting since April 2023, with only 3 months of exceptions. There is much discussion about whether China's economy will enter a lost decade similar to Japan's. However, based on current trends, China's economic challenges may turn out to be even more severe than Japan's decade of stagnation.